Hello, hello, hello. So we are going to start off the evening with some magic. Pardon me for this evening. I am kind of sick, so just bear with me. But we're going to do the best that we can with what we got. We're going to be playing Modern and Pauper today. As usual, you guys get to pick what we play. Have lists of things, and yes, we'll be talking about the KCI ban shortly before we get started. Just give a chance for viewers to submit decks. We have both Modern and Pauper decks, anything by request. And first things first, we are actually going to do a deck tech on... We're going to do deck tech on the Gitrog Monster Commander deck, which is a deck that I'm building in paper. We unfortunately will not be playing it online, but that is because I do not play Commander online. Because it's far different than playing in paper, considering how much cheaper the cards are online. So people tend to have really, really powerful Commander decks. And this is fully intended to be played in paper, so it's not nearly as powerful, just for budget reasons. But we're gonna go over it. We're gonna start with the lands. So this deck, well, we're gonna start with our commander, and then go through our lands. And by that point, we'll probably have a good idea of what's going on. We're gonna go over the combos in the deck first with the lands, then our finishers. And then the rest of our cool/value-y stuff. So our commander is the Gitrog Monster. He is a 5-mana 6/6 for 3 generic and a black and a green mana with Death Touch. And at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog Monster unless you sacrifice a land. So, every upkeep we have to sacrifice a land. And this sounds like a pretty big downside for just a 5-mana 6/6, but wait, there's plenty more where that came from. You get to play an additional land on each of your turns, so that kind of pseudo-negates the sacrificing a land, because you get to play an additional one each turn. So you're still net +1 land if you have enough lands to play. That is the key. But to make that a little easier, the Gitrog Monster has whenever one or more lands are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. So we're also going to be drawing 2 cards a turn with our commander out. The rest of the deck is looking to abuse as much as possible the whenever one or more lands is put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card effect of the Gitrog Monster. And here we go. So we have an Ash Barrens, which has basic land cycling. You get to discard it, draw a card. But, actually, now that I think about it, we'll just go through the combos in the lands first, then followed by the actual synergies and stuff. So we have, let's see. Combos. So we have... So, Dark Depths. We are playing a copy of Dark Depths in the deck. It comes into play with 10 ice counters. Pay 3, remove an ice counter from Dark Depths. When it has no more ice counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do, put an indestructible legendary 2020 black avatar creature token with flying named Merit Lage into play. This is, of course, awesome to have a flying indestructible 2020. It's usually not enough to close out a commander game just kind of like on its own, but pardon me, guys. But it can certainly do some damage, and if it comes down early enough, it may be able to close out some games, especially of more casual commander. Then we also have the land that combos with this card, Thespian Stage. Thespian Stage, it gets to copy a land, and it gains the ability to copy lands for 2 and tapping it. So the way that Dark Depths and Thespian Stage work is because Thespian Stage is already on the battlefield when it copies Dark Depths, this becomes a copy of Dark Depths without any ice counters, and because it has no ice counters, you get the sacrifice trigger. However, the exact sequence of this is because Dark Depths is a legendary land, you have to legend rule yourself when you do this by making it copy. So you first sacrifice the Dark Depths with the 10 counters on it, which will draw you a card with the Gitrog monster, and then you make the second copy of Thespian Stage into Dark Depths without any counters, and then you get the Merit Lage token. And you sacrifice that Thespian Stage as well, which causes the trigger, which draws you a second card. And because they go in succession like that, you actually get to draw 2 cards off the interaction, which is just a nice little upside with the commander. But other than that, as far as combos just solely within our lands, we have Urborg, which is to help make our colorless lands, or lands that don't tap for mana, which we have a few of, much better. With Cabal Coffers. So, here we go. Cabal Coffers is a land that does not tap for mana, one of several that we have, but it does have 2 tap, add a black mana to your mana pool for each swamp you control, and Urborg makes all the lands into swamps, so all your lands are swamps, so you get mana for the number of lands you control, which is amazing. Especially in this deck where we're ramping specifically with lands. Cabal Coffers is absolutely fantastic. So then we have kind of our standard stuff. We got like Command Tower, some basics. We are playing some snow-covered lands. They ideally should all be snow-covered basics, but I'm a little bit on the cheap side and didn't want to get all of these snow-covered basics, all 12 more of them. We have Ash Barrens because it synergizes with Gitrog monster, so does all the cycling lands like Barrenmoor and others. Blighted Woodland is a land that ramps us and also hopefully draws us a card with the Gitrog monster. Bojuka Bog is a great tutor target against graveyard decks, and it doesn't affect our graveyard because we are a graveyard deck. And it's a great piece of interaction with, like, crop rotation, for example. Crystal Vein, just because it can draw us a card and add 2 mana to our mana pool. Darkmoor Salvage, because I can loop it with the Gitrog monster, because I get to play 2 lands a turn. I can play Darkmoor Salvage tapped and another untapped land every turn, hopefully, if I have those lands. And at worst, I just keep playing Darkmoor Salvage over and over again and sacrificing it to the Gitrog monster, but because the way Dredge works, I can choose to draw the Darkmoor Salvage when I sacrifice it to the Gitrog monster. So if I dredge it and I hit another land, I get to draw another card. So usually that would be a nice little value engine, because you get a Darkmoor Salvage and an additional card, if you're a little lucky. But we are playing 42 lands in this deck, which means we almost have a 50% land ratio in the deck. Cycling lands. Dryad Arbor is in here because we are playing. In my sorceries, we are playing Green Sun Zenith, and that can fetch out Dryad Arbor. Evolving Wilds draws us cards. Glacial Chasm. If we can play lands out of our graveyard, we basically have infinite fogs. Because we can either choose to pay the cumulative upkeep cost of 2 life, or we can just sacrifice it to the Gitrog monster every upkeep, because they both happen simultaneously and we get to stack the triggers. And because of that, and we won't be playing the land till our second main phase, you get to fog out all of your opponent's creatures for the whole game once you get a Glacial Chasm and a way to get back lands from the graveyard, which we have several of. Some mana fixing, Misty Rainforest, and other fetch lands. I'd like to add more eventually, but fetch lands are expensive. They draw you cards when you search, which is absolutely fantastic. If a land was printed, tap, pay 1 life, search your library for a forest or island card, draw a card. That would be insanely powerful, and that's what you turn all your fetch lands into, or versions of that card. In the Gitrog monster, well, when he's on the battlefield, that is. Overgrown Tomb to search out. Petrified Field, this is in here because it draws us cards, gets us specific land cards that we want back out of our graveyard, is really good when we're making piles with Realms Uncharted, which is basically Gifts Ungiven, but for lands only. So if you get to put that in a lands pile, basically the only way they can guarantee you to not get any one specific land is by putting that land and the Petrified Field in the same pile and then giving you the other two. So you basically can force your opponent's hand with your gifts piles, which is really, really nice. Let's see, what else? Got a Reliquary Tower, because we're going to be drawing a bunch of cards. Strip Mine, because Strip Mine, and we can play them out of our graveyard. Temple of the False Gods, because Ramp. Terramorphic Expanse, Thespian Stage. Tranquil Thicket, another cycling land. Let's see. So, how are we actually going to end up killing our opponent, aside from our 2020 token? Well, our actual finishers are probably going to be Emrakul the Promised End, Kozilek Butcher of Truth, and Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. So we're playing one of each Eldrazi Titan in this deck just because they're really impactful on the board, or they get you a bunch of card advantage, or you get to totally ruin someone's day with Emrakul. As well as they're really good hits off of Genesis Wave, which is one of the main ways that we're going to be getting massive amounts of advantage in this deck. Because this deck is, at its heart, kind of just a huge mana deck, and that's what it wants to be doing. Pumping tons and tons of mana into a huge Genesis Wave, and just hope it's enough. But we have all these big finishers, so it hopefully will be, or at least get us further in our deck so that we can find our other finishers. Let's see, what else do we have? Exsanguinate is our other finisher. Like I said, we are a big mana deck. So pumping just boatloads of mana into an Exsanguinate for big enough will be lethal, or at worst, it's going to stabilize us. Let's see. And then we have one more win condition, one more serious win condition at least, because we can always be down with our random creatures, but that's not very likely. Sylvan Awakening. So until your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creatures with reach, indestructible, and haste. They're still lands. So, with Sylvan Awakening, you can turn all your lands into 2/2s, and when we can put most of, if not all of our lands onto the battlefield at the same time, that can be pretty powerful. Getting in with 60 power worth of creatures all spread across 2/2s is probably pretty decent. Let's see. We got a few board wipes, some ramp, a few reanimation spells, a crop rotation, whole bunch of tutors in this deck, because we're playing. The way that we're getting so much mana is Rain of Filth and Squandered Resources, both of which let you essentially sacrifice lands to add mana to your mana pool. And with the Gitrog monster, that means you're also drawing cards, and that is just so much synergy. Because when you're making all that big mana, what are you looking for? Well, you're looking for ways to cast that mana, and when you're just drawing a bunch of cards, that's the best way to find cards to cast. Let's see. And the rest of the deck is essentially tutors, or just ways to smooth out our draws, and hopefully find some of our combo pieces that kind of make us into an engine deck. For example, we're running Scapeshift to just get a whole bunch of lands into our graveyard at once, and then put a whole bunch of new lands into the battlefield. In this deck, it's not as insane as it is in, for example, Omnath decks or Tristani decks, the blue-green Merfolk that draws you a card for each land you have, or that enters the battlefield, rather. This, however, will stock our graveyard for Splendid Reclamation, which both of these do help with our other win condition that I had honestly forgotten about, which was Ob Nixilis the Fallen. And he has, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target player lose 3 life. If you do, put 3+1/+ encounters on Ob Nixilis the Fallen. So with all these lands entering the battlefield, Ob Nixilis gets pretty big and does a lot of damage. So hopefully we get to just kind of pseudo-storm kill people. Let's see. What else? Just tutors, some ramp, Rainafil. These transmute cards are in here purely for tutor value. Ways to play additional lands. Dark Confidant might look kind of weird in this deck, and it honestly kind of is. The reason why this deck exists is because I got into Tiny Leaders because of friends that I have that play. And Dark Confidant in Tiny Leaders is absolutely the nuts, just because it is a 2-mana creature in a format that your entire decks have to be 3 converted mana cost or less. So Dark Confidant's just kind of the best, because the worst hit you'll be taking is 3. But this deck's converted mana cost average is still only just over 3. It's 3.08, even with our big giant finishers. So putting Dark Confidant in here is actually pretty safe, even though we have these giant Eldrazi and what have you. As well as we have a bunch of lands in our deck, which naturally help make Dark Confidant a little better. Let's see, we have Pernicious Deeds, one resource we talked about. Mending Dominaria is just kind of like Splendid Reclamation. It's a newer card, very cool in this deck. It is a Vital Force, kind of like another Horn of Greed, but on a Planeswalker emblem that can be gotten right away. Super sweet in this deck. We're playing bunches of lands. Crucible of Worlds, Ramen-Up Excavator. We got ways to find lands in our graveyard. We also have things like Life from the Loam, and just a bunch of fetches. The reason why this mana base, by the way, needed all those snow-covered basics is because of Into the North. It searches for a snow card and puts it into play tapped, then shuffle your library. The reason why this deck plays Into the North is because it can tutor up Dark Depths or another land, so it's either a ramp spell or a tutor for a half of a combo, which seems worth an inclusion in the deck at least. Alright, so let's actually get to some Magic the Gathering proper. Well, let's pull up this preview card. Alright, here we are. We still do not have anybody who has made any comments on what they want to be watching. So we're going to go over the KCI ban in just a second while I clear my throat. And then we'll get into probably some Modern Magic. We're likely going to start off the day playing Boggles, just waiting for people to kind of get in and then make some suggestions. But then later we'll definitely be playing Hardened Scales. Alrighty, here we are. Boggles. Alright, so let's go back to here. Let's go back to collection, Modern Collection. So KCI, this card just got banned in Modern this Monday, which means this deck can no longer be played simply because it absolutely needed Clark Clan Ironworks to do its thing. Very sad, but overall okay. The really big impactful cards, Ancient Stirrings and Mox Opal, which are played in a bunch of other decks, They are still legal in the format, even though they were considered by Wizards of the Coast for banning, which means we still get to play our Trons and our Hardened Scales and our regular Affinity decks. But you know what? On second thought, let's actually just let's play some Hardened Scales, considering we are now more safe from the banning of Ancient Stirrings, which absolutely is necessary in a deck like this. There's probably some watered down versions that Hardened Scales could play with, but I know if Mox Opal got banned, I don't think this deck archetype could exist. So let's play some Magic. Let's play some Modern. Let's play Hardened Scale. Let's find a match. Alright, and remember guys, if you have any suggestions for what you'd like to be watching, just comment in the stream chat, and I will be replying as soon as I can see them. Yes, I'd love to play first. Playing first is my favorite. Alright. We have a green source, we have Hardened Scales, which is what our deck's named after, and this hand is just absolutely the best hand I think I've ever seen with this deck. And we're on the play. Just kinda good clean living right here. What I'm probably gonna do next turn, depending on what our opponent's up to, is either play Hangerback Walker on one, or play they're likely on Dredge. So they're not gonna have So they're gonna have Fatal Push as removal, but they're probably not gonna have Path to Exile. So I don't know of any blue white mill decks. And Hangerback Walker will get us more value. Or we could double Arcbound Worker. I kind of like double Arcbound Worker, because that way... They kind of protect each other from removal spell. But I think we'll just go Hangerback Walker on one. And pass the turn. Our best draw next turn is almost definitely a land. Yep. It looks like they're playing Blue-Black Mill. Which I honestly don't know how the matchup against Blue-Black Mill is. But this Manic Scribe looks like hopefully it will die soon. Yep. So we milled a Mox Opal, Blinkmoth, and Arcbound Ravager, which is kind of unfortunate because we would have liked any of the Mox Opal or Blinkmoths. Steel Overseer. Alright, so now we're kind of just priced into just playing out the Steel Overseer. Because it just is better when you play it earlier. And hopefully this lives for a turn, and then we should kind of be able to go crazy on the following turn. I'm not attacking with Hangerback Walker here because they're just going to block with their Manic Scribe. And I have not seen Manic Scribe in a very long time out of our opponent's deck. They've moved on to Mission Briefing almost entirely, from what I understand. What is our opponent doing there? Field of Ruining us. Okay. We do, in fact, have basic forests. Oh, they're going to Mind Break Trap us. Alright, here we go. We're going to lose 13 cards. If they know we have forests. Yep. Sorry, Archive Trap. Alright. Lose some cards. We're going to try and just kill them as fast as possible at this point, because that's what we need to do. Probably going to play Arcbound Ravager next turn, and then the next turn we're going to have Lethal with Walking Ballista, almost definitely. As long as all of our stuff lives. Extrade Walking Ballista. That's really rough. Alright, so we no longer have the Walking Ballista in hand. This is going to be functionally a discard spell, which is super obnoxious. But It's alright. We can still beat them down. Alrighty. I'm gonna put 2 counters on Hanger Backwalker. They Field of Ruined Dust on their turn. Gonna play out this Arcbound Ravager. Gonna tap the Steel Overseer. Gonna get in with my 6/6 Hanger Backwalker. They're likely going to block, I'd guess. They do. Alright, and so next turn, we'll likely be able to get in for a pretty large swing. Mind Funeral, alright, hopefully we get lucky. Alright, so we only have 18 cards left in our library. That's kind of nerve-wracking. Alrighty. So, have a land. Which means I think we can kill them this turn. So if we Throne of Geth, we Arcbound Worker, we sacrifice artifact land, proliferate. Done. The 8, 6, 4. And then we just go sacrifice Arcbound Worker. Put this on. Supposed to Hanger Backwalker. Alright, so they're drawing 3 cards. Yes. And there's the game. Fantastic. So we're playing against Mill. Our sideboard cards are going to be basically Artifact Hate. Don't want to be grindy. We want to be super aggressive. None of our cards really do a ton in this matchup. Grafdigger's Cage turns off their Notion Thief, so Grafdigger's Cage is definitely coming in. Tormod's Crypt is pretty weak in this matchup. Want some number of Nature's Claims. At least 2. Let's see, what are we cutting? We're going to be cutting our Grindy card in Evolutionary Leap. We're also going to cut an animation module. We're just going to try to go fast. I hope our cards get us there. Hopefully we have another start like we did last time, where it's just kind of an easy win, but you never know. Got kind of close there at the end. We only had 18 cards in our library. Alright, let's see. Our opponent is still deciding whether or not to play first. Let's see if they end up deciding to play first, or if they're disconnected, or if Moto's bugging out, or what exactly is happening. Our opponent still has not done anything. Just kind of waiting at this point. Here we go. This hand is acceptable. We have an animation module, Walking Ballista, and Inkmoth Nexus. Our color, green. Some lands, a few more lands than I'd like, but 4 with a Walking Ballista is okay, as well as we have an animation module that sinks in a lot of mana. So yeah, we'll keep. As well as I believe they can play discard after sideboard. Wow, they're playing Evolving Wilds. Alright. So what do we draw? Pendelhaven. Let's go Inkmoth Nexus, Animation Module. If we draw Hardened Scales at any time in the very near future, this is basically just gonna instantly end the game, which is super nice. Because our animation module making tokens for things, it's gonna be pretty good. Alright, so they got a swamp, which means they likely are going to be trying to hold up Fatal Push for my creature, whatever it may be. So we have Swamp Island. Are they just going to mill me 10? Let's see. Let's see. Yep. Glimpse me. 10 cards. Deal. Oh, Hardened Scales. It was either right on top or second from the top. I don't know which way Moto puts them in the graveyard. That's really, 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 really unlucky. Yep, Walking Ballista. Alright, because we have 2 Walking Ballistas, I'm gonna play out 1. Done. We're not gonna pay because we don't have the mana. Otherwise, we'd definitely be making some dudes. But keep in mind, this is not a matchup where we're trying to grind. We're just trying to go super fast. Because they're kind of like a burn deck, where your life total is your library. So them finding Field of Ruin is kind of unfortunate, because we have an Inkmoth. Let's see if they use it out of fear. But that does kind of shut down our Infect plan, at least for now, while it is unused. But I'm going to be playing this nice, juicy Pendelhaven, as well as a Mox Opal. I think I'm going to Arcbound Ravager this turn. Yeah. Arcbound Ravager. I'm going to make another dude. And then I'm going to get in for 1. And we'll go from there. Alright. Mana. Alright. Yes. Love to pay for animation module ability. Excellent. So now we can make any of our dudes +1, +2. But hopefully we don't need to do that. I don't think there's any reason for us to need to do that. So, yeah. Right now, if we really wanted to, we could shoot them for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which is not nearly enough yet, but we're getting there. We are getting there. If they do Field of Ruin our Inkmoth Nexus, I'm going to animate it and eat it. Because I don't want to get Mindbreak trapped. Yeah, and I get to fizzle the Field of Ruin trigger, which is nice. Mind Funeral. Okay. We lose our Grafdigger's Cage, which is unfortunate. And a Nature's Claim. So we're down to 1 Nature's Claim as our only sideboard card in this matchup. Another Walking Ballista. Let's see. I'm gonna just make another Walking Ballista for 1. Because I can make another dude, and that's an additional counter and another body. Because I can move counters around effectively with Arcbound Ravager. Our opponent is deciding whether or not to scoop him up. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what they're doing, but they're looking at this walking ballista for one. They're going, oh boy. Alright, let's see. Get a dude, and let's go to combat. Let's do some smashing. Attack with all creatures. If we need to, I'm gonna hold up this mana to either give +1/+2 to something, or so that I can make another guy when I sacrifice something to an Arcbound Ravager. Let's see. What does Emperor Nick 98 do? Glimpse me. Another 10. Down to 21 cards. We still have one Nature's Claim in our deck. Though it does not look particularly good from what we've seen out of them. The reason I usually bring that in is because it is good against their artifacts, their 2-drop artifact. I don't even know if this deck is playing it. So I'm going to play a land. I'm going to Hangerback Walker for 2. And then I'm going to make a guy. Yes. Alright. Then we're going to go to combat, and I think we should be able to kill them after this combat step. All creatures, all attacking, all the time. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have more than enough, so just start sacrificing stuff. Alright, and then we just sacrifice things now. I should just sacrifice this animation module. So we don't have to go through this trigger over and over again. So 5, 6. I wonder why our opponent is not auto-passing. Drawing 3 cards. Maybe not even drawing 3 cards. Is it your graveyard or your opponent's? Ah, and they scoop it up. Alright, so that's our first match. Let's see. So we're going to go over to my collection. We can take a look at our modern decks that we got going on. Here, let's go modern. Put this down. This Tron deck is not a tier list Tron deck. It's kind of a janky Tron deck. But basically everything else is pretty good, solid. Promised End and Whip are both budget decks, but aside from that, these are all pretty much good to go, ready in the modern format to fight their way to the top. So if there's anything that you guys want to watch, just leave a comment in the chat. I believe this will be the first stream that's actually going to be uploaded to YouTube, and you can find me at the Platonic Planeswalker on YouTube. That should be uploaded sometime later today. Let's see, and it will be wow, it'll likely be unedited because I do not yet have proper editing software. But here is the modern decks that I have, and I'm going to switch it over to the pauper decks that I have as well. If there's any deck that you want to see a deck tech on, what have you, just put a comment in the chat, and I will wait for you guys to do that for just a little bit, but then we'll get back to playing some Magic. Just hold on one moment. Alrighty, and we're back. I have not heard anything from our chat room quite yet, but hopefully our viewers will get a little bit bolder later in the stream. Until then, though, I will be looking over some decks, seeing what we should be playing. We've kind of played all these modern decks, but these pauper decks still need some going through. This is a deck that I brewed kind of recently. It's taking the blue-black Delver theme and making it blue-black Reanimator. So we're cutting Delver, but we're trying to make intentional discards through foil and through careful study to ditch Ulamog's Crusher. Stripped Riverwinder gets to discard itself, and hopefully a Dragon's Breath or a Dragon's Wings, so that we can attach it onto Gurmag Angler, Stripped Riverwinder, Ulamog's Crusher. After we exhume it with this card, I should probably show you what this does. So Exhume says, each player puts a creature card from their graveyard onto the battlefield. And because it says each player, that's why we're playing the Nihil Spellbomb, just in case, as a 1-of in the main. We have some more graveyard hate in the side, I do believe. We do not, and I will definitely fix that, because I have not updated this sideboard. But this deck gets to choose cards, discard with foil, discard with careful study, just like blue Faithless Looting, but worse because it doesn't have flashback. Hopefully we can get some stuff in the bin. Let me do some quick editing on this sideboard. No, change. Alright. Let's see. So we are going to want a bunch of these Nihil Spellbombs in sideboard. I don't need these. I don't need this. No. Alright, there we go. Let's give this a spin. So this is going to be blue-black Reanimator in the Pauper format. Put in Pauper. Excellent, looks like we got a match right away. And we get to play first. Excellent. Alright, so this hand, what does it do? We have a Gush. Did it do anything? I think we have to mulligan this hand. Alright, this has some cantrips. We'll keep it. Ooh. Alright, so we're gonna go on top, pass the turn. Next turn we're gonna draw a Gush. Yep. Now we're going to careful study. Did not hit a finisher. Alright, discard that. Discard that. Alright. That was unfortunate. So now we can either gush or fetch for a swamp for an exhume on the following turn. Fetch for a swamp, it turns on our snuff out and our exhume, and we may want to be discarding cards on the next turn. Alright. There's our Ulamog's Crusher. Fortunately, Careful Study is only a sorcery. Discard Ulamog's Crusher. Discard Gush. Do I want to run Exhume into straight counterspell? Our opponent has literally played no cards. I don't think I do. We have 8 cards in our graveyard. I'll run a Gurmag Angler into it, though. Yep. Counterspell. Not surprised. Let's see. You draw another Gush. See if they counter this. Nope, they let it resolve. Well, if they're just going to hold up Counterspell, I don't want to do anything until I have Counterspell back at myself. So we're going to wait till next turn to think about going off with either another Gush or hopefully we just draw Foil. If we just draw Foil, then we're in super good shape. Like, insane shape. Alright, so they're blue-green. Are they Turbo Fog? Gushing. Counterspell, perfect. Alright, now we got an Ulamog's Crusher. Hopefully this wins us the game. Annihilator 2 in this format is absolutely nuts. Let's see if it can do some work. Satyr Wayfinder. Deal. Get a land. Yep. And they scoop it up. Forest. Alright, so they're blue-green, they're playing Manowar, Coiling Oracle, Muldrifter, and counterspells. Oh, and they just scooped the whole match. Alright, well that was super short. Do you guys have any suggestions for what you guys want to be seeing on what you guys want to be seeing on stream today? Here are some of my modern decks. I have Amulet Titan, Bant Spirits, Black Red Hollow One, Boggles, Death and Taxes, Dredge, Eldrazian Taxes, Elves, Hardened Scales, Mardu Pyromancer, Mono Green Charbelcher, Paradox Engine, Promised End, Storm, Titan Shift, Tron, and Whip. And then in Pauper, I have many, many more. Though granted, many are just variants of others. Decks that we have not seen here on stream. We have not seen Inside Out yet here on stream. Inside Out is kind of an all-in combo deck. And by kind of all-in, I mean entirely all-in. This is... it is a weird engine deck. So everything in our deck is designed to keep our hand as full as possible. We also have... Oh, let me just... We also have Tireless Tribe, which looks really bad because mostly it is awful. It is a terrible, terrible magic card, but it's fine. Actually, looking at this deck list, I wonder if we can put in some foils. Now, I'm sure Circular Logic will be enough. Anyway, so the combo is Inside Out plus Tireless Tribe plus a very large hand, basically, at its core. So switch target creature's power and toughness until the end of turn, draw a card. It keeps our hand the same size, switches the power and toughness on Tireless Tribe, and yes, we can continue discarding, and it will make the attack bigger afterwards because of the way Inside Out works. Then we also have a second combo piece, which is Shadow Rift, which is in case our opponent has blockers. Target creature gains Shadow until the end of turn. It can block or be blocked only by creatures with Shadow. And then I get to draw a card again. Again, keeping our hand relatively large, as well as 3 mana on a single turn is not very much of an investment. Of note, we do have to have our Tireless Tribe untap. So we are playing a Daze, some Circular Logic. Circular Logic is absolutely nuts in this deck because we can Madness it with Tireless Tribe and counter target spell unless the controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard. Absolutely lovely ability. And now that I think about it, we probably don't even want foil in this deck, simply because it dumps cards out of our hand aggressively. That is not what we want to be doing. The rest of our deck is just keeping our hand full and finding our pieces. We're playing Gitaxian Probe, Brainstorm. I guess there's a little bit more counter magic in here. Some Dispels, Dizzy Spell to go search up any of our 1-drops, i.e. our Tireless Tribe or our Shadow Rift. I guess you could search up a cantrip, but that seems like a mistake. Possibly a Dispel. There's an argument for searching up Dispel in certain spots. Giga Drowse, in case we want to tap our opponent out. Some Ponders, Preordain, the Shadow Rift, which we mentioned earlier. Some Augurs, Daze, Inside Out, Circular Logic, Gush, which gets us a bunch of cards when we're comboing. Most of the time when we do end up comboing off, we basically have to, at some point in our combo, see a Gush, just so that we have enough cards in hand to guarantee the kill with Tireless Tribe, because if our opponent gains too much life, or what have you, they could be out of our kill range. And then Repeal, just to bounce something for very cheap. Sometimes it saves our own Tireless Tribe, sometimes it bounces something of theirs. Just whatever needs to happen, happens, and it draws us a card, which is why it's in the deck. The sideboard kind of doesn't matter too much. We can transition into a Spire of Golem deck because we have so many islands. Just more grindy cards for anyone who's trying to disrupt our combo. And let's go run this in a match. Alright, here we are. Man, it is so nice playing Pauper on Fridays on MTGO. You just get matches so quickly. Alright, we're getting really lucky with these die rolls. I will keep this because we have Tireless Tribe, cantrips, so eventually we'll find another land we'll keep. We're going to Evolving Wilds and eventually fetch for an island. But first we are actually going to Gitaxian Probe, see what they're up to, draw a card. Hopefully they think that we're on Delver. Alrighty. What do we have? Protection from Monocolored. Alright. Looks like an interesting matchup. Protection from Monocolored. I'm not sure how we're going to get around this Guardian of the Guildpact quite yet, but we'll just shadow past it. That's fine. Oh, speaking of which, there's our Shadow Rift. We have two of our three combo pieces. Unfortunately, our Dizzy Spell can't find one, but our Dizzy Spell will likely find a second Tireless Tribe when this one gets exiled. So let's play Evolving Wilds, pass the turn. Fetch on their end step. Get an island. Hey, and there's an Ash Barrens. We have 7 cards in hand. The removal spell is 3. Yeah, so I'm just gonna Ash Barrens, cycle Ash Barrens, find a Plains, and then play Tireless Tribe. This is gonna give us the best chance of getting a turn to untap with Tireless Tribe. If we get a little lucky, we might be able to combo this next turn. Plains. So we do not have any counter magic backup for this, but we're going to pretend like we do, and that's why I'm not just skipping through all their stuff. Alright, let's see what our opponent's up to. We got a Scoured Barrens, Plains, Thraben Inspector. Man, look at these guys getting a clue. Okay. I really want an additional land here. Also looking for an inside out. Let's ponder. Actually, this is fine. So we're gonna draw this Evolving Wilds. Not shuffle our library. Play this Evolving Wilds. Pass the turn. Hope our cute little tireless tracker lives to see another day. Likely won't. It's more than likely just going to get exiled. But that's fine. We have a backup one in Dizzy Spell, which we eventually will find. Okay. Okay. That was unfortunate. Missed the fetch there. Alright. So, Island. Let's preordain. See what our opponent does. Bottom. Top, I think is what we're going to do. Play another Evolving Wilds, pass the turn. Alright, so we have our Gush now. See if they try and exile this. Yep, they do. So, here we go, here we go. Alright. Turn a land. Turn that Radiant Fountain. You betcha. Alright. What are they gonna do? They're floating one generic mana. Nothing, apparently. Dispel. Alright. Should we go for it here? They're tapped out. We did just draw another Dispel. No, I think we can keep going. I think we can keep going. At least for the moment. We're not really under any pressure here, so as the combo player, I'm going to just kind of sit here and wait. We do have this Dizzy spell, which represents another Tireless Tribe. Let's see what they do. Got 4 mana. Is this a... yes, protection from monocolored. Here we go, a 2-3 with protection from monocolored. Thankfully, we have found a Shadow Rift, which is good for us. 23, alright. Alright. What is 1 and a white? Alright, I have never seen this Wellspring before, but it searches up basic lands and puts them into your hand, apparently. Interesting color fixing. Plains. Sure. Repeal. Repeal. Let's go take a quick look at this deck and see what other 1-drops we have. Preordain, Ponder, Dispel, Brainstorm, Detection, Probe. Alright. I'm just going to keep this essentially Tireless Tribe in my hand. Hopefully we draw into some more cantrips. That'd be very nice. Okay, this is unfortunate. So next turn, we're definitely going to have to try and go off. Alright. We can respond to this. Yeah, we might just be dead here, though they are out of black mana, which is nice. 2, 3. What are they doing? Trying to overpay for a core Skyfisher. Alright. Picks up that land. Interesting. Interesting. I've never seen Ravenscrime trying to be abused like this in Pauper before. I like it. I like it. I don't like that we're going to likely lose to it, but it's alright. Alright, so this next turn we got to try and win. Here we go. Wow, you had a bunch of lands in hand. Jeez. I'm just gonna actually, wow. Alright, our odds are super low, and I don't even think we have enough damage to actually kill them, but we'll see. We'll see. Alright, that's not a good start. Island is not the card that we were looking for. And Circular Logic, and we're dead. Alright. Let's see, let's begin sideboarding. Alright, because they happen to be playing, like, the exact anti-our deck, we're probably going to be trying to consider transitioning. We're just trying to outspeed them. I think we're just going to run it back and try to get lucky. Our deck's kind of too all in to really pivot into a meaningful sideboard plan here. And what they're doing is just kind of niche enough against us that we don't really we just don't have a plan. Those of you who are in chat and looking for something to do, don't forget you can ask for different decks to be seen played here. Here we go. We got some Pauper decks here. Some Modern decks here. And if any of them strike your fancy, please just leave a comment and we will start playing them next. Love to play first. Here we go. Alright. Combo pieces, check. Lands, not so much. Alright, I'm going to keep this off the back of holding our combo in hand and hope we get lucky. Alright, island. You can Dizzy Spell them if we need to. Casting Dizzy Spell for its effect is not very strong. Just kind of in general in Magic, much less in this deck. But we kind of have two Tireless Tribes, or a Shadow Rift if we need to. Alright, Bog. Land. Land off the top. Tireless Tribe. Not a land. Alright. Then we are just gonna pass it on back. Alright, they got a slow start, which is good. If this is a Raven's Crime, discard a Tireless Tribe. Alright, depends on how many lands they have in hand, but we may just end up conceding this game. Yeah, we'll give it one more turn. If we don't draw any land in the next turn, then I'm just gonna scoop it up, because we're just not drawing lands. Alright, yep, and they got this thing starting. Plains. Yeah, so with that, it looks like we're likely just dead anyway, even if we draw a land. Hey, look! It's an island. We'll keep playing for now. Though I don't think this can end well for us, the hero. Suppose I'm going to grab Gitaxian Probe just because I want to get deeper in my deck. I will probe you. Alright, they have a Prismatic Strand, which is very bad, though we do have a Circular Logic to stop it. Castigate. Alright, yeah, they're going to take cards out of our hand next turn. Let's see what we draw. Yeah, I'm just going to... We're never going to get through those discard spells, because they're just going to take all of our Tireless Tribes, exile them. And then we're just never going to come back from that. Alright, on to another Magic the Gathering deck. On to another moment, on to another day. Alright, are there any commenters who would like to have me play a specific deck? Let's see. So some fun decks that tend to usually do pretty well. We got Defenders, which is another combo deck, but this one apparently works better in the meta. Or usually works out better for us. We got Valakut Invoker as our finisher, which I'm going to move up here this way. Valakut Invoker. We get infinite mana by enchanting an Axebane Guardian with a Freed from the Real. And once we have all this mana, we then find our Valakut Invoker and shoot them for a whole bunch. We also have Fun with Tokens, which is another combo deck with Midnight Guard and Presence of Gun, making a bunch of tokens. And then our backup strategy is just kind of a token deck. Playing Rally the Peasants, Battle Screeches, all that fun stuff. The rest of our decks are pretty fair. Acid Trip is a cult favorite. People just absolutely love being able to... Where we go? Reality Acid and then pick it back up, destroying people's permanents. Angler Delver, which is kind of the best deck in Pauper right now. Dam Cycling, another fun, silly combo deck. Really bad against counter magic because you need to resolve Songs to the Dam to win the game. Elves, another tier deck. You get to play 9 Forests because of the card Land Grant, but this gets you really big creatures, draws you a bunch of cards, lots of fun. This is just straight red-black Reanimator, which is why I made that blue-black deck. It was inspired by this deck. This is my preferred Jund deck right now. So this is kind of a brew. Acid Trip. Alright. So we have a request for Acid Trip. So this deck is trying to pick up Reality Acid. Reality Acid is an enchantment. You get to enchant any permanent. It has Vanishing 3. So during each at the beginning of your upkeep, take a time counter off of it. When there's none left, sacrifice Reality Acid. But when it leaves the battlefield, enchanted permanent controller sacrifices it. The permanent that was enchanted that was. So we're going to be playing Reality Acid. We're going to be picking it back up with, let's see, where are we? Core Skyfishers. Dream Stalkers. We also have Spreading Seas. Yep. Pacifism. And then we're going to be momentary blinking our Core Skyfishers and Dream Stalkers. We've got a bunch of other value, flicker targets, ways to search up our Reality Acid, and a bunch of other enchantments, because we have Helion's Pilgrim in the deck. Let's run it. Let's see what happens. Alright. Here we go. Acid Trip. This is not by any means a tier deck in this format, but it is certainly a lot of fun to play if you get to do your thing. That's kind of always the caveat in Magic, because this deck relies really heavily on Reality Acid. It sometimes has a hard time. This hand is a mulligan, no blue mana, no second land. This is a keep, however. We have our namesake card, some lands, cantrip. Looks good. Keep. So I'm going to leave on the tap land here, just because getting those out of the way is very nice. You want all your mana untapped as much as possible. and where we might get a break to do it next turn, going 1 drop with Preordain, and then eventually into 3 drop. I don't want to risk it. Looks like we're playing against Affinity, however. This is going to be fast one way or another. I have a feeling. Well, we have our combo. We have Reality Acid plus a bounce creature. So we're going to get to destroy a permanent of theirs starting on the 4th turn. In the meantime, we are going to Preordain. We're going to hold up this Quicksand, threaten to kill a creature. Azorius Chancellor. I think I like both of these. On top. Draw. Alright, so we'll just draw the land next turn. Technically, that's bad sequencing, but I know our opponent doesn't have any discard spells, so this is fine. Journey to Nowhere is really good against Atog, which is their combo kill win condition, and we don't want them to Atog. Ooh! Huh. So this may not be traditional Affinity. This looks something spicy. And they are stuck on 1 land, which is perfect for our deck, because we love to mana screw people. Okay. They're gonna go Reality Acid. Pass the turn. So, here's a Frogmite. Okay, so they're a Vault of Whispers deck. This is like a more combo-y, all-in version of Affinity, if I understand correctly. Mirror Enforcer. Disciple of the Vault. That is likely going to be our Journey to Nowhere target, even though we have this 4/4 facing us down. I can Quicksand. Kill this. Alright, so I have a couple options. I can Core Skyfisher, kill their land, or I can wait till next turn to Core Skyfisher, kill their land. And I can Quicksand their Disciple of the Vault, and Journey to Nowhere their Mirror Enforcer, which is what I think I'm gonna do, and then pick up the island. Oh, this is only attacking creatures. Hold on. So I'm going to Journey to Nowhere the Disciple. And then we're going to pick up this island. And then this can kill either a Frogmite. This can kill either Frogmite. And we're just going to wait till next turn to blow up their land. Hopefully we don't get punished too badly here, but they didn't have any additional plays off their Spring Leaf Drum, so I'm not too worried. I think this is most of what action they have in hand. Okay, not a Disciple. Another Azorius Chancellor. Alright. Core Skyfisher, we're going to pick up our Reality Acid. Alright. They sacrifice their Great Furnace. Probably after Galvanic blasting our Core Skyfisher, unfortunately, though. We're going to try to find another answer for their Disciple of the Vault. Come on, opponent. You have a trigger. Alright. Excellent. 2 mana. Alright, so we're gonna preordain. Yeah, preordain, see what our options are. We're either gonna Azorius Chancellery or bottom, put that on top. This way we can Reality Acid and Dreamstalker next turn if we play this Azorius Chancellery, picking up Tranquil Cove. Okay. Okay. They're just returning our Core Skyfisher back to our hand. To deal a damage to us as well. Let's see. So next turn we're just gonna play out that Core Skyfisher again. We're just gonna get rid of this Disciple though when we do Reality Acid on our following turn if we're not just dead to this 4/4. Yeah, 3. Alright. 6. Block. Atog! Never mind! Atog is going to be the target unless they just ping us for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only have 5, so we'll be at 1 if they do this. But they'll have no board except for a Disciple of the Vault and an Atog. We might just be too slow here, unfortunately. Which does happen more than I would like. Okay. We absolutely have to do this, no questions asked. Then I think our better option is Dreamstalker just because it blocks the 4/4. I think we're still dead though. 2, 4, 5. Yeah, fall into 1 next turn. Get to gain 1 with the Tranquil Cove. Fortunately, we get to do this right as we get to start doing our thing, which is Reality Acid, make you sacrifice permanents. Against slightly slower matchups, against Control, this deck seems really, really good. And in matchups like this, it's just like, we're not even playing the same game. Alrighty. So we drop to 2. What is our friendly neighborhood Disciple of the Vault player doing? If this is another Atog, we just lose. Let's hope this is not an Atog. No Atog. Or Burn Spell. Fade Atog and Burn Spell. Concede the game. Alright, Fling. Actually, Fling does it, yeah. Concede. Do we have anything in the sideboard for artifacts? We do. So Dust to Dust is good. These are good. Alright, bringing in these cards. Taking out our slower cards. Need to cut 2 more cards. I'm gonna cut a Seagate Oracle. Gonna cut a Mole Drifter? Is it so expensive? Alright, let's see what we can do. Hopefully we draw into a bunch of our artifact destruction. Not great. Possibly okay, though. This is really slow. But we do have land. So I'm going to keep this. This does not look like a blue affinity deck, which means that Spreading Seas is still good. Hopefully. I might be playing Thoughtcast, but that seems a little ambitious. Our opponent has mulliganed to 6, which is good. You can see their hand up in this corner. We have a removal spell, kind of removal spell, hopefully land destruction. Alright. So we're gonna Evolving Wilds. I'm gonna want double blue before double white. We're gonna just fetch an island here. And just pass. Hey, we get to do something with our mana, which is very nice. Preordain, Tranquil Cove, Core Skyfisher. Put that on top. Glorious Chancellery. I think this is gonna put us. It's gonna put us at 7 cards. Fine. So next turn we'll have access to Journey to Nowhere, or Reality Acid, or Spreading Seas. They do have a Chromatic Star, so Spreading Seas is kind of bad, and now Springleaf Drum. Though our Reality Acid looks really good, because they do only have 1 land again. That's unfortunate. Wanted a second white. I think we're gonna go highest upside, play Reality Acid, pass the turn, pick it back up with a Core Skyfisher next turn, hopefully. Oh, they have second land, Braid Furnace, Frogmite. What else are they doing? Ethereum Sculptor. That needs to go. Well, I think I found what's getting Journey to Nowhere. Ethereum Sculptor is not the card I like. Hopefully we draw Untapped White Source. Untapped White Source for the win. It is not an untapped white source. It is a white source. I'm definitely playing this. We're going to do that first. I think the card. 2 cards. 3. So we have 2 options: Core Skyfisher on the Reality Acid, or Journey to Nowhere on the Ethereum Sculptor. I think we're gonna Journey just because that takes off the more mana off the table. I think because they do have 2 cards in hand, they're gonna be drawing up to 3. So if all 3 of those are artifact spells, then this will reduce costs by 3, whereas this is only producing 1 mana. And we're trying to choke them on mana here. And we do have 1 more turn to return our Reality Acid. And then we can follow it up with a Core Sanctifiers, destroying another land. Or that. Might just be destroying that. So this is this format's version of eggs, I believe. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this Reality Acid just go away. We're going to Core Sanctifiers this Ethereum Sculptor. Because Ethereum Sculptor. Alright, we'll destroy their silly little Ethereum sculptor. Next turn, this reality acid is going to be destroyed in our upkeep. We're gonna play the secluded step because our deck is kind of mana hungry, and eventually we'll find a bounce land to bounce it to our hand to draw cards when we need to. Alright, so they are playing blue, so in the next game, if we have one, I'm gonna side out these Spreading Seas. Apparently they're playing Thoughtcast, well, and they're playing Ethereum Sculptor. Well, I'd assume they'd be playing both. Alright, drawing a card. Looks like there's a Disciple coming down. Because they're making black mana. They're making red mana too. Maybe it's just in case. Who knows? We'll see shortly. Wonder if they're using this as a way to just kind of protect their combo kill creatures. Or if they're just trying to use it to tempo out the opponent. We are behind on clock, which is notable. We are a very slow deck. Yep, here's Thoughtcast. 3 cards. Very glad I got rid of that Ethereum Sculptor, or all of their artifacts would be very cheap right now. Keep in mind, those of you who are still sticking around, sticking with me, playing some Magic on a Friday evening, you guys can put in the chat what you would like to see. Alright, this is probably going to get a Crystallization, which is fine. I mean, not like super exciting, but fine. Maybe I'll just play Moldrafter. Crystallization. Crystallization's good. We'll destroy their land with this Reality Acid, finally. Alright. Sacrifice one of your red sources, opponent. Alright, let's see. We're not going to be screwing them off of any colors, but we're going to do this. Alright. They return their creature to their hand. This fizzles. And then... a little Spreading Seas to draw a card. I believe this is no longer an island. No, it's still an artifact. Yeah, it's still an artifact. Hey, Lone Missionary. Good one. Gain 4 life. Let's get in for 2. Take that, opponent. Drop down to 18. Alright. See what our opponent can do with 5 cards in hand while we're tapped out. Looks like they found their black source, played their Mirror Enforcer for free, blah blah blah. Oh, looks like they may have nothing. I don't want to trade this Lone Missionary for 2 damage, I don't think, because I can blink it, or I can pick it back up with the Core Skyfisher. Or no, Dreamstalker. Alright, so I'm going to Moldrafter. Holding up a single blue. This way, if we draw any untapped source, we can play Dreamstalker. If we draw an untapped white source, we can play Core Skyfisher. In this spot, I think I'd favor Dreamstalker anyway. What is our opponent doing? 2 blue. Hello. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
Three people watching today.
I do. Is one of them you?
Hello. But the other two are not. I thought, like you said, that I should have it open because that'll help with the algorithm. Oh. You kind of like made a voice that made me think that you knew it was me. I like it. Enjoy!
It's okay, baby. Of course I love you, baby.
Love you.
I love you. Ah. Ah. No.
Full girl sucks. I don't feel like it.
All right. Yes. You want them?
I brought them for you.
Oh, thank you. Love it. He's the stream is done. I'm gonna record the end of this match.
What is he doing?
He's just letting his computer run.
Like he's just letting it time out?
Yep.
Oh, so he's not actually saying anything?
Uh, I love you. Autocorrect. Alrighty. Alright. Yes.
Oh my god, this GIF is so adorable.
You're too adorable.
Mm.
You
Honey, watch the GIF.
watched it, yeah.
I did watch the GIF.
You watched it, yeah.
I did watch it.
You watched it
Now
again.
you have to watch it.
You watched it. Minutes. You're just one time. Don't have rest in peace. One time. Good enough for me.
Okay, you ready for this, Jeff?
Yes.
Look, they all want the bow.
Yes.
They all want the bow. They're fighting over the bow.
Yes.
The little puppy keep running into shit because they can't see. Hey, head, ouch.
Oh no.
Hey, look. Now they put the bow on her.
Oh, these are good.
Ain't that so sweet?
These are sweet, baby bear.
And the popo so cute with the bow in the hair.
Very cute.
I love you.
I love you. This dude's salt was like fantastic.
Is it the same dude?
Yeah, well, I switched and was playing another game so that I'd pass the time for this.
On their bed floor.
No, they were doing it intentionally. They messaged me.
Oh, what they say?
Hold on, I start streaming. I start recording.